Hello. Hello. We are currently live. I've not made any kind of pre TFN videos, so I figured I'd make one now at this very strange time in the morning. To say, yes, I am going to TF Nation. And it's going to be a swell, great old time. Aren't Transformers conventions wonderful? I don't know where you are in the world or what you do, but when you have like a niche hobby, like collecting something, then it's great to eventually get into a place where you and everyone else there enjoys the same kind of niche collecting as you do. And I don't know. I think it's become more and more about conventions for me. It has been more and more about the people rather than the actual figures. The figures themselves are now quite. There's a lot of like scarcity marketing. Like you got to get in there for the pre-orders, or they might sell out. They never really actually. Some figures, and that's the thing. You never know which ones are going to sell out. Some do sell out, like your run-amucks, runabouts of the world. But then other figures don't, and just stick around forever, and then end up in insane discounts. And so you could have not spent as much money on them in the end, when you can literally get them for a quarter of the price of what they initially go up for. And so it's hard work trying to decide which you should buy, which you shouldn't. And so for me, especially someone who relies on public transport to get to an event, I don't really want to be buying that much when I get there. I can pre-order stuff. I can have stuff arrive at my house. I don't really necessarily need to anchor purchases to a convention. That's not to say I won't buy things when I'm there. Maybe I'll buy things that I've not really thought about buying because I see them at a good price. Maybe when I go past the table and I see a Transformer from a previous line that I never had a chance to get a hold of, that I won't splash the cash to purchase. But I find more and more that I'd like to buy artwork. I've got a couple of commissions that I'm going for, and maybe I will look around. The Forge at TF Nation is a wonderful place. This is where the place where they get artisans throughout the Transformers community, and they'll have been making things throughout the year that they will sell on these little stalls. And I think that is more what I'd like to buy at a convention. Something, if I wanted something that anchors to the convention that I can look at and go, yeah, I bought that at such a convention, then I think it'd be more like a sticker or a fridge magnet. I'll feel more connected to that convention than I will a figure necessarily. A piece of art, obviously. I think that's where I am. Now, there's been several videos about certain rules and what you should do at a convention that you should follow to make everything okay. And, while I agree with most of them wholesale, I would also say we are not your parents. So you have the freedom of choice. That's not the freedom of consequences. So, your choices you make lead to consequences. But you're free to do what you like. If you don't want to wash, you are free to not wash. Some would say not washing is if you're after Transformers figures and you have to beat in the queues and you have to kind of you know, wanting to look around stalls without people invading your personal space, then sometimes it might be scientifically, it might be worthwhile building up a good stank. Because if you don't have a stank about you, people will be all up in your personal space, brushing past you, trying to push through you to try and find the bargain before you do. But maybe you're someone who's like, I don't care if I wash. I want to get the figures that I want. And you will build up a stank. Maybe you'll shit your pants a little. Have a little bit of a shitty sweat bottom. A little shitty sweat bottom. So you can get through those crowds. The crowds will part like Moses parts the sea for you. But the consequence of that will be is that when it gets time for the social aspect, we're going to the panels, to going to the bar, people will also avoid you there. So yeah, you might be able to develop an aura of crowd subjugation around you by developing that stank, but it'll work two ways. A double-edged sword cuts twice as deep. People say avoid credit cards and getting into debt. I'm a lousy saver. I'm absolutely awful at saving. But setting a target on a purchase, buying something on credit, and knowing from now on, I know that X amount of money per month is going towards this thing I've just purchased. I can do that. I'm very good at doing that. You know, I've got all my bills set to the around the same date that I get paid. So I know that after a certain time in the month that I know that all my bills are paid. So everything else money is for food and recreation. So I'm quite good at budgeting that way. So, but saving I've never been that good at. But knowing that I'm paying something off, I'm good at. So I'm someone who works better for paying in credit rather than savings. That's just the way it is. Some people, we're all different. So I think when you try and give wholesale advice to people, you don't know everyone's circumstance and you don't know how people's minds work and what is good for them. What's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander. There's another idiom for you. So yeah, just know yourself. That's the best thing. And do not take on more debt than you can afford. We're not saying don't take on debt, because this is it's robot Christmas, isn't it? This is our Christmas. You will see things that you might not even known have existed up until this point. I've seen videos from various of the traders that are coming to this event, and there's some wonderful things, absolutely wonderful things. I think you need to know who you are as a collector. There are certain traders who will be selling things at very expensive prices, and that's because they're mint on box or mint in box or just in box. Look around. Try and find that thing loose before you go, I'm going to buy that. If you're going to be someone who's going to open it. Because I'm very tempted. I see things that are mint in box. I'm very tempted by buying them, but I know for who I am, if I would open those bastards up and instantly devaluate what I've just bought. So just know who you are as a collector. That's embrace it, embrace who you are, and this is what a convention is all about. We're a niche fan base, and we've got various different niche sublines of that fan base. You know, are you a toy collector, an art collector, a comic collector, a minting box collector? We've all got different little fucking takes on things. And even with the toys, are you a Hasbro, Chug collector? Are you a Hasbro G1 collector? Are you a third party collector? We're all in these different little aspects of this same very niche fucking thing. And just embrace that. We just need to know who you are, what you do. That is kind of the joy of this thing. And try and socialise. I know the first auto assembly I went to, I basically just turned up, bought some things, had a couple of pints, not enough to force me to socialise, and went home. Even then, I was like in contact-ish. I was like a lurker, occasional poster of a forum. This was before Facebook and all that type of stuff, so it was just on a forum, and I'd occasionally post. I wouldn't be like one of these people who'd been doing like 1,000 posts a day. I'd maybe do a couple of posts a week, and so I don't think I was that in with the in crowd of the forum, so I never really kind of introduced myself to any of them. I didn't really find any of them, to be honest with you, but so I just went home really without actually talking to anyone, even though these were my people, and I know that now. I know that these were my people. I could have really kind of just introduced myself to any old group of people there, and we would have got on and been able to talk about our passion and our hobby. So it's strange, but you have your hang-ups, and I regret that. And so after I've been to events since then, I've always tried to make habit of talking to people, even though I'm very awkward, really, in the flesh. So when I'm being waxing lyrical online is a different me than in real life. Shock horror. We're all that. We all have different sides to our different facets, I'd say, rather than sides to our personalities. Yeah, so I'd say as a guide to surviving a convention is try and be yourself. I saw someone posting and saying, don't try to be too weird. I'm like, no, fuck. This is the one time of the year we can get to be too weird, because these are our people. If you can't be weird with our people, then that's it, game over, isn't it? This is our time to be weird and be strange and be beautiful and just rejoice. Rejoice, motherfuckers. TF Nation is about us. I don't have any kind of grand plan or notes of what subjects I'm touching upon today. I'm just trying to remember things. Don't shit in the lift. Don't shit in the lift. You should never shit in a lift. So it's awkward for everyone else involved in this subject. If they're going up or going down, it doesn't really matter. There's shit in that lift. So it's no longer fun. The Forge, yeah. People put blood, sweat and tears into doing artwork. This is the one time they get to shine. So I think it's very worthwhile to pay attention to these people. Now, there's various people they've done work in the Forge or other fan art type of situations that have ended up working on Transformer comic books. So we never know who's going to be the next movers and shakers, so it's always worth paying attention to that. So yeah, visit the Forge, have a look around, talk to people. That's advice I'm giving myself, really, more than you watching, you, many of you. Overspend, enjoy yourself. This is the one life we have, so fuck it. Buy your Transformers. Not to the deficit. Don't. There's a difference between overspending and serious overspending. Don't put yourself up shit creek. Don't put yourself in I'm gonna die tomorrow ocean. Whatever that means. Yeah. It's fine. If you can just go right, I've got to just put an extra bit of money away for the next couple of months. Yeah, right. If you're like, oh my god, I can no longer afford to pay rent, then you're fucked up, son. Wear sunscreen. That's a good old song reference. Hope the microphone's working. Otherwise, this is a very strange video. Do we have any comments? No comments. That's fine. We just I'm going to lure you all to a sense of sleep. Oh, it's Transformers conventions are very strange, but they're also enlightening kind of experiences. Don't know how long we're going on for. If you were making a convention, that's what I always say. Would you do anything different than the conventions that are currently running? And I can't think of what I would. Yeah, it is a very much that we need to give respect to the people who have cultivated and created this fandom that are also attached to still from this time, but also at the same time we should continue and grow and evolve and not be afraid to kind of, in some respects, dust off what's happened in the past and go, no, we need to create this fandom our own way. We need to do our own thing. We need to make this new and kind of cool again and evolve with our times that we live in. Evolve with the times. I think, and I don't think, whenever I see the general kind of audience for Transformers, not the general audience as Transformers fans, but the general kind of idea, because there's a lot of people who are only really familiar with the films and not really that familiar with the rich kind of tapestry of iterations of Transformers, and they see Transformers, and it's kind of the belittlement of Transformers just from that certain director who, whereas I know there are lots of fans of the actual Transformers movies, but you have to kind of realize that a lot of it is misogynistic. There's a lot of kind of racist cues in there. There's a lot of things where, if you look at it from an outsider point of view, these films are a little bit fucked up. And they're very kind of simple and explosion heavy, and they don't really have any kind of. They have boringly complex narratives that don't make sense, and that's because they don't make sense. It's not because they're actually complex, really. It's because they just don't make sense, and you need to make huge leaps of logic to actually follow them. And that's not what Transformers is about. When you look at the comic books, when you look at the cartoons, when you look at all this other stuff, hey Jim, there's a lot of complex stuff that goes on with Transformers. So when people just look at the movies and just think that's what Transformers is all about. It's just those movies. There's just these misogynistic movies that they made. It hurts me because that's the front-facing kind of thing to non-Transformers fans, is these look at it and just go, it's just this misogynistic thing. When really it's very inclusive. The Transformers fandom itself is very inclusive. It's very kind of forward-thinking. I think that's what you get. That's what the impression I get from Transformers conventions, is that how accepting we are of people and how diverse. It's a very diverse fandom, which you wouldn't think of if you just took the Transformers movies at face value. And I think that's because of a lot of work from, I think IDW Comics widened the fandom a lot, but I don't think people would have actually discovered the IDW Comics if they just didn't like the franchise to begin with. Jim, you turned up to TFN last year. How did you find it? Did you enjoy yourself? I think you did. Most welcoming and friendly. Yeah, that's definitely. It's weird. It's friendly. It's welcoming. I probably shouldn't be making this video. I've just been, we've just been chatting online, and I've not quite finished my drink yet. So I just decided, let's go. I've not made a video in a while. I'm kind of not making videos at the moment. But I decided to do a live chat. Oh yeah, congratulations. It must be wild. I hope oh, cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jim. I thought, yeah, it was a pleasure to meet you as well. Yeah, it's been a crazy time. I think Brad was really good, really pleased to meet you as well. It was Just a crazy, crazy weekend. Ugh. Ugh. I don't know why we're spark plugging it tonight, but it just felt right. Let's just dress a spark plug and put a camera on. So I guess we're going to wind this video down, and because it's 25 minutes of me speaking slowly. It's if people want to find a way to get to sleep at some point, maybe you could just listen to me just talking slowly about Transformers conventions, and it'll do you cool. One day, I hope to get to America one day, one of the American conventions. But I don't know if I'll be disappointed. Quite frankly, here's the rub that I think we need more people. I need more people from America to come over to TFN and to tell me if there are American conventions or Canadians as well. You're all welcome. And tell me if your American Canadian Transformer conventions are better than English conventions or not. Well, I'll let you know. Yeah, we need to know. And it's not. I don't know. Is it a competition? Yeah, it's a competition. Hey, fuck it. It's a competition. Right? I think I maintain. I think in the Americas, I think you have better probably exclusives. You have better availability of all these figures that have come out. You might have better access to the actors and all that type of stuff who and writers and directors and artists. You probably have better access to all those people and all those figures. But I think in England, what we offer is it being more welcoming. And it's like, that's the competition. We're more welcoming than you are. Fuck you guys. I mean, TF Nation set the standard when they put the ticket prices up, but for the most part, the artists don't, people don't charge for signatures. Unless you're taking the piss by the amount of stuff you want to get signed. So then it's like, you have to queue up again, or maybe you have to pay for a few extra signatures. Whereas I think it's standard at other conventions that people just pay for signatures. And also, they tend, most of the artists and actors and everyone end up being in the same bar in the evening as the attendees to the convention. So sometimes you might be like, I didn't get a chance to speak to that guy at his table. But, we both stood at the bar together, so I might as well just have a chat to him now. Go, hey, all right. That's how I remember speaking to, oh my God, I should have done research for this video. Guy who is one of Michael Bay's friends, actually. He did the voice of Jetfire in the movies. I think he was also actually the voice of Bumblebee when Bumblebee actually spoke. Mike Rylance. Is it Mike Rylance? Mike Rylance. He was the sword fighting guy in Robin Hood, a TV series in England. And he was in Black Sails. I'd just been watching Black Sails before I turned up to the convention, so I was like, I don't really watch much, don't really enjoy much of the Transformers movies, but then it's like, oh, that's that fucking guy from Black Sails. So I was like really pleased to meet him. I'm like, oh, I was right. I said to him like, oh, I was really pissed off when your character died. And he was like, you were pissed off. Imagine how I felt. I wasn't getting a paycheck anymore. Yeah, so he was like, yeah, he was really fun. That was just the bar, just chilling out. Um, yeah, it's all about those little chance encounters and all that kind of. Yeah, the guy who plays Shrapnel, um, Hal Rail, um, was a TF Nation, and being a friend, we're just discussing with the Shrapnel voice. Does he? Did they record it and then just repeat the recording? Did he say it twice? And he just popped his head into the conversation because he was just going to the bar and we were just talking about that and just went, no, I did it twice. It was like, what the fuck? Yeah. So that's what I love about this type of thing. It's just, we have these random things, and like TFUK is also another great convention. Just getting on its feet. It's only a couple of, we've had two so far. And like the first year, we were just, it was like the Friday night before the convention actually began. And like Simon Furman and who was there? It wasn't Wildman, I think. Jeff Senior just turned up, and pulled chairs alongside us, and we just got to drinking and chatting, and it was like just amazing to have these people just kind of be talk to you on such a friendly level and just like casual kind of like like with the guys. And that's conventions really. I should probably go because I managed to get a few people actually tuning into the ship without going. I bid you adieu. Thank you very much. We're getting all hooked up. Hooked on a feeling. Do you know the original in England, the Transformers comic was produced, I believe it was weekly. So they used to actually cut up what was the monthly issue for America. They used to cut it up in several parts. And then to bolster the comic book, they'd put other comic books in the back of that. So there'd be a backup strip, basically. And one of those backup strips by Magnum Magnola, you might know from Hellboy, was Rocket Raccoon. So when Guardians of the Galaxy came out all those years ago as a film, people were going like, who the fuck are these characters? The only one I knew was Rocket Raccoon, because I knew his origin stories from the comic book. It's different than it is in the movies, but I mean, I'm not one to kind of be bothered about what's in print and what's in movie, about the differences between that, because I understand they're different mediums. But it was good to know that like this character that I remember reading in this backup strip is made it into movies. It was quite cool. That's I think we're going to make this point, and then we're going to move on and go home properly. I am at home, but go further into home where you can't see me because I'll just go to bed. I've always been a fan of the Transformers, and I adore the cartoon, but I love the comics. That's the way it's always been. And the toys are kind of I love the toys as well. So when I was growing up, the toys, they'd have the bios on the toys, and you'd have the comic book storyline, and you'd have the cartoon storyline. And the cartoon and comic storyline did not match. There'd occasionally be several things that kind of met each other in a certain way, but for the most part, they were two completely different narratives, and sometimes alien to what was on the actual bio cards of the actual figures. So yeah, so you had these three different kind of narratives that you could take from. You could take from like how they were supposed to act on the the back of the box of the toy, how they acted in the cartoon, how they acted in the comic book. And I was always one to just cherry pick and just kind of like, well, I like this and I don't like that, so I'll when I'm playing with them and mashing them together, this is how that is my narrative of what I'm going to do. And I think in a way this has prepared me for later on in life, because I'm fully aware that what is in print and what is in film, no matter if it's the same storyline, is going to be two different things completely. So, Game of Thrones, a lot of people going like, well, this wasn't like what it was in the books. And I'm like, well, of course it isn't, because this is a TV show. Of course, Game of Thrones is not like A Song of Ice and Fire. That's okay. Because, Solar Transformers rip off anyway, isn't it? Azar High, the hero who is going to light the darkest hour, I believe. The prince that is promised. Is the prince who is promised is basically the hero is going to light the darkest hour. So, yeah, it's all like about this enemy from without who is coming, that they have to join together, or the world be worse apart. Yeah, so it's about a civil wars have been going on for far too long. There's an outside threat. They need the prince that was promised, the hero that will light their darkest hour, because the darkness is approaching. Yeah, Game of Thrones, Transformers, it's the same thing. Am I right? Am I right? Peace out. Enjoy yourselves. If I see you at TFN Nation, big up yourselves. But until then, Visto! Visto! Don't even know what the thing is.